Welcome to the Interview Room, episode 2, and I'm super excited about this episode because I interview my friend Mallory Petree, who's a mother of twins, and she tells her story and her journey as far as delivering babies at 26 weeks and having to be in the NICU for almost 90 days, and it's a heck of a story. I'm super excited to hear about it and learn about it, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Thank you. Is that true? Like, you've always just been, like, made to be mother?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have been called mom for years and years and years by so many of my friends and employees. I'm sure you know that.
Uh-huh.
And even still, I have a couple people that will call me mom at work, and I'm like, I'm not your mom. I already have babies now. Like, you have your own mom, but it's cool. It's a nice feeling that I was motherly before I was a mom, so it's nice.
Yeah, were you like that with your siblings, like your younger siblings? Were you kind of like the nurturer one of, like, did you take care of them when you were in your childhood?
No. If anything, I fought with them more than anyone.
Oh, that's surprising, because that's how, like, Catherine's like very motherly, and she like took care of her siblings when she was little and stuff like that. So I was wondering if you had the same kind of a trait.
Well, my little sisters now, so when my mom got remarried, I had 2 bonus sisters, and they were really young when I first met them. The youngest one was, I think, just about to turn 3, and now I think she's like 12. I don't know, I can't keep up because they grow so fast, it's insane. But I'm super motherly to them, to the point where my mom once said, she goes, pretty sure I'm her mother, not you. And I'm like, oh, sorry. I was also pregnant and really hormonal, so I already thought that I was like everyone's mom.
Yeah.
So
Were you
but yeah, I am now, but I wasn't then.
Oh, okay. Dang, that's definitely surprising. When you said when you got were you guys you and Neil trying to get pregnant, or you guys are just kind of like letting it ride, like whatever happens?
We were, but we weren't. Like, we weren't
Like tracking ovulating.
preventing it anymore.
Yeah.
And then we didn't know it was going to happen so fast. It was like the first time that we were like, okay, let's not prevent. Oh, pregnant.
Fertile
So
myrtle.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know that was a thing.
What was it like when you guys found out?
One of my best friends from high school, Evan, she was actually with me in my bathroom. Neil was on his way home from work. I didn't expect to be pregnant. I felt really weird for like about a week, and I was late, which is extremely normal for me. My cycle's terrible. I'm always late. And so I was like, whatever, I'll just take a test, roll it out, because I would get really bad, like, panic and anxiety attacks to where I would kind of lose hearing and vision. And that happened to me, but it was like really, really bad. So I was like, it's never been that bad before. So I just felt really weird after that for like the rest of the day. And the next day I felt weird. Then I went to work, and then I was talking to my girlfriend Evan about it, and she was like, you might be pregnant. I'm like, no way. She's like, well, let's go get a test after work and go back to your house. I'm like, okay. So we did, and the first test I took said, oh, it was a question mark. I was like, okay. The test doesn't even know. So then I instantly took another one. I'm like, I don't have any more pee. So like a couple drops went on it. So I was like, okay, that's not enough. So I went to drink a ton of water and waited a little bit. And then I went back into the bathroom to take it again, or to take a new one. And that test said pregnant. I was like, that was only like 2 drops of pee and I'm pregnant? There's no way. So the next morning I took another test. Well, that night Neil came home, like literally as soon as I saw the test, and I showed him, and we both kind of cried and cheered. We were both so happy because it's what we wanted, but we didn't know it was going to happen so fast. So that's why we were so surprised. But then the next day I took another test just to make sure, and sure enough, those 2 pink lines, and I was pregnant.
That's awesome. So you guys are both like equally happy about it?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yes. Dang. And then so what was the process like for you finding out that it was twins? Was that quick, or was that like kind of you had to wait a few months?
So I actually went to the doctor pretty early in my pregnancy. I think I was about 5 or 6 weeks pregnant. I think that's from what I've heard a lot of doctors' offices don't even see a mother who is pregnant until about 10 weeks, or 8 to 10 weeks, I think. I don't know, but I got seen about 5, maybe 6 weeks. And there was one baby. So one little baby, one little pea-sized little baby. And so we scheduled like it was a normal schedule appointment with one baby, a singleton pregnancy. You don't see the doctor as much, but with twins, it automatically becomes like a high-risk pregnancy.
Yeah.
But I went to the hospital about a week or so after and got an ultrasound done because I was having really bad pain. I was extremely sick. I couldn't keep anything down. I had lost maybe close to 20 pounds.
Wow.
I was miserable. So I was just in so much pain. It was like I had really bad abdominal pain. I know I've been throwing up and I know I'm pregnant, but I just don't feel comfortable and I don't feel like it's right.
Mm-hmm.
So she did the ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech legally can't tell you what she sees until the doctor is able to see you and they tell you. So we got back to the ER room and she comes in. She was like, okay, we found both heartbeats. I'm like, okay, like
Mine and the baby's. Yeah.
And the baby. She's like, no, not yours. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you're obviously alive. Like, wasn't checking for your heartbeat. I'm like, what? She goes, do you not know you're having twins? I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, you're having twins. I'm like, does it? Effing no. Does it look like does it look like I know? I may have said the F word a lot to her. Neil was just like, Mallory, stop, calm down, stop. And I have always said, I want twins.
Really?
I want twins, always.
Wow.
My mom has always called me crazy. She's like, you only say that because you don't have kids now. Which, she's right, I was crazy then. And I'm so glad that I have them. But yeah, she's right, I was crazy. Yeah. And so when I found out I was having twins, I instantly cussed the doctor out because it's her fault. It's her fault that I'm having twins.
Killed the messenger.
She looks at me, she's like, it's okay, honey, I'm pregnant. The nurse looks at me, she was, I'm pregnant too. And they were clearly pregnant. And I was like, are you having twins? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, then let me freak out. Please leave me alone for a minute. Like, I need a process. Get me another blanket because it's freezing in here. Like, I'll be fine after that. And I called my mom. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. We were still in the ER. And she left. She was like, this is what you wanted. That's also a little bit of karma in there too. So call you in the morning. Love you.
Wow.
So it was crazy. Neil was super excited. Super excited. I don't think he fully processed it, really.
Yeah.
But he was excited.
Do twins run in your family at all, or Neil's at all?
Not in Neil's. My older brothers, with my dad's first marriage, my half brothers, they are identical twins.
Oh, okay, yeah. It skips a generation, right?
Well, identical twins don't run in families. The egg itself, it's only one egg goes in and that egg splits. With fraternal twins run in family, and that's where 2 eggs are, they attach, and then that's where it's fraternal twins. It's grown, and that's why they don't look alike, because they're 2 different eggs. So my egg split, and apparently that's just like a fluke of science type of thing. And that just happened to my dad's first time having kids and my first time having kids. But it's crazy because on my brother's mom's side of the family, I'm pretty sure they have like 2 other sets of identical twins. So it's kind of like, I don't really know
Yeah.
if it's running in a family or not. It's crazy that there's a lot of identical twins in a family that's not supposed to be hereditary, like genetically hereditary. Like it's different. Yeah, I don't know, really.
That's crazy though. Wow.
Yeah.
When did
So many
it doesn't make sense.
twins.
When did the pregnancy like start to go in the direction of being a high risk pregnancy, and how far along were you?
Um, so with twins, it pretty much automatically becomes high risk because so many problems could go wrong with a multiple pregnancy.
Right.
With mine, I think it was about 10 weeks. I was at work and I was counting inventory. I was a manager then, and I was cleaning the liquor room, and I wasn't really lifting boxes. I was kind of just like shuffling them and whatnot. So then, ladies will know when you feel like you just started your period, you just know that it feels like that. So I went to the bathroom and I was soaked in blood. So I went to my managers, and the manager, Cody, with me, he rushed me to the hospital, and I was sitting in the ER room and I couldn't sit down because I was afraid of getting blood everywhere. And so what I thought was crazy, this was God speaking to me, really, was the nurse that took me back. She was an identical twin. She's an older lady, and she's an identical sister. And her mom, she was telling me that her mom had a second set of twins after her first set. Yeah, it was crazy. But she was like, I'm an identical twin, and I feel like you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Your babies are fine. So she rushed me back to a room after being out in the waiting room for way too long. And she told me, she's like, I'll find your husband when he gets here and I'll send him back. So we did all these testings, and I thought my babies were gone. With how much blood I had on me, I completely thought I was done. My pregnancy was over and this was it. So I was just kind of getting prepared to hear it. And it was so early on that it can happen, but it was also so early on I didn't feel any babies anyway, so it's not like I felt them and like they stopped moving. I just felt like they were done. And when we went and did the ultrasound, she was like, okay, there's both heartbeats, they're very strong. I'm like, what, really? So what's going on? I instantly cried my eyes out. I was bawling, and I was so thankful that I was so wrong, so wrong. And I ended up having a really long hematoma, which is a blood clot, wrapped around my uterus. And so that was what was causing me to bleed. And they said that I could possibly bleed the rest of it out. And if it is red, fresh blood, then that's not okay. If it's darker blood because it's older, then that's the rest of the hematoma coming out. So I actually had a doctor's appointment the very next day, and they did an ultrasound and they saw it. And the doctor ended up talking to me about a miscarriage. He was telling me that I could possibly lose one or both if my blood clot was to soak through the walls and get into the sacs of the babies. So when I thought I was out of the woods with my not losing them, I was told I probably will or possibly could lose one or the other.
Wow.
And I was crying. And this was a doctor I wasn't too fond of. And he was an older gentleman, and he was just very older and by the book and very blunt about things. And he was like, why are you crying? You don't need to cry. It'll be okay. I'm like, you're telling a hormonal woman that you were just talking to about a miscarriage with one or both of my babies not to cry?
Wow.
So right then and there, when I felt like I was low. I got even lower in life. I was like, that whole day, I just couldn't stop crying. And honestly, the only thing I wanted was to eat and go to bed. So Neil took me to Portillo's and got me a chili cheese dog, and I went to bed.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean, I had so many other problems, but I'm sure we'll get into those.
Yeah. Were you? I remember hearing that you were bedridden for pretty much your whole pregnancy. What was that like?
Yeah, actually, so he bed rested me that day. I was on bed rest from about 10 weeks to 26 weeks. And it was, when you think of, oh, okay, I get to lay in bed all day, every day. I don't have to do anything. I medically can't do anything. Heck yeah.
Mm-mm.
No. Restless legs kick in, and you're hungry all the time, and you can't go anywhere because you're not allowed to drive. And when you do drive, you're not supposed to. You get sick in the car and have to pull over and throw up. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. Neil worked a ton, so I stayed a lot at my mom's. So she fed me. I made sure that she fed me a lot. So that was good. I just got to eat a ton. But being on bed rest, it's not fun. It's not fun. Your body hurts more than you think it would. And I just became very weak. Very, very weak.
Were you emotionally weak too?
Oh, yeah. I never stopped crying. I was already depressed about possibly losing my kids. And then I blamed myself for everything. I'm like, okay, it's because I eat like crap all the time. It's because I don't work out enough. My body is not able to do this because I wasn't prepared. It's my fault. Like, if I lose them, I'll never be able to, everything was my fault. Even after they were born and being born so early, everything was my fault. I always blamed myself.
Did anybody help you through that and kind of like guide you as far as like being like your support system or comfort you at all?
Oh yeah, Neil for sure. My family, his family, my friends, definitely. Like Madison, Madison, my best friend Madison. I didn't really speak about it too much to a lot of people just because
That's
I didn't
private.
I didn't want to talk to anyone. I wanted to talk to Neil and my family and Madison, and that's all I really wanted to talk to, and they really helped me through my pregnancy and even after.
Yeah, when you had Riker and Killian at, you said 26 weeks.
26 weeks.
Was that surprising that they were like, did your water, like, how did that all happen? Did your water break, or was it a forced labor, or how did that all happen?
I actually went into labor at 24 weeks and 3 days. It was a full moon, and full moons can make that happen, which is crazy. The tides and all that, it makes it happen. I went into labor, and I was actually staying the night at my mom's house the night before my doctor's appointment the next morning. I had a high risk appointment. I always saw my OB, and then I saw my maternal fetal medicine, which is a high risk doctor for pregnancies, every week. And it was the very first appointment that Neil couldn't make it to because he worked in the morning. So I didn't want to go alone to any of my appointments. So my mom went with me, and she went to work in the morning. And then I met her up at the salon, and then we went to get food, of course, and then went to the appointment. And I told him, I'm like, I don't feel right. I just feel like I'm having contractions. Like, I don't really know what contractions feel like, but I'm guessing they're contractions. My stomach just gets really hard. She's like, okay, it could just be Braxton Hicks, which is normal because you're having twins, so that really just pushes on you to have them. So she checked my cervix, and she's like, you need to go to the hospital now. You're 1 centimeter dilated. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, let's go. Great. I was freaking out. Called Neil, freaking out. So we got to labor and delivery at St. Joseph's Women's Hospital. And I was in labor and delivery for 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, for 4 days. The first day, I was constantly monitored 24 hours for 4 days in labor and delivery with a monitor for each baby and then a contraction monitor too. So I had 3 different monitors on me. But I was also on something called magnesium, which helps with the baby's lungs to strengthen their lungs, because they thought I was going to have them right then and there.
Yeah.
Because with them being so early and so small, I don't have to get to 10 centimeters dilated. They could slip out at 2, 3, 4 centimeters. So they thought I was going to have them then, and they put me on magnesium, and I couldn't see anything. I had to cover one eye to focus on something whenever someone was talking to me. I couldn't breathe on it. I had to be put on oxygen. I had no reflexes, so I couldn't walk. So I was on a catheter for 4 days. And then when I got that out, I still wasn't allowed to walk. So a bedpan it was. And then I was in the hospital until the day I left was 3 days after I had them. So it was exactly 2 weeks I was in there. And I've never stayed in the hospital before. So it was an experience it was an experience I've never discovered. It was insane. Everyone was so amazing. So I got to the hospital, the doctors and the nurses, and then even the NICU nurses were just absolutely amazing. I finally felt okay. I, of course, was blaming myself every second, but I learned so much about it that I was like, okay, well, maybe that's not my fault, or maybe I didn't fully make this happen, or they were just a peace of mind, really. But being there was not anything I'd ever wished to happen, but I was so glad I was at that hospital because everybody was just absolutely amazing.
That's great to hear. I'm glad, because after your first experience with that first doctor, I was worried about everybody else.
I saw him again in the hospital.
Yeah.
He made his rounds.
Wow. So when the babies came out, was one in a better condition than the other, or how was their condition like?
Well, they were both not breathing on their own. I had a C-section. I went from 4 centimeters to 6 centimeters in an hour, and they said we need to go now because they can literally slip out of you. So we went to the OR and had a C-section, and Killian came out with his cord wrapped around his neck, and he was head down, so he was in the position to go. Riker was pulled out butt first and pooping. Praise God, because after all that happened, what really helped me, my mom said, that was God telling you, we need to go now because I'm saving your baby's life. His cord was wrapped around his neck, and if he pooped inside of you, he could have killed all 3 of you. It could have just been super toxic and could have killed you guys. So that's God saving you. It's going to be okay. So I really kept a hold of that throughout my whole journey. But yeah, the boys, they were both, Killian was stronger at first. Riker was very weak because it's crazy because Riker was the bigger one and Killian was the smaller one. And then it completely flopped. Riker got so much better and Killian just kept getting worse. So it's crazy how it happens. And then towards the end of the NICU experience, Killian just jumped right up and caught up with Riker, and that's why they were able to go home on the same day. Normally that doesn't really happen for twin moms. They're on different paths. One baby will be there for 100 days, another baby will be in there for 60. It's a totally different experience for both kids. So I was so lucky that they got to go home on the same day.
And that must be tough, like separating the twins, because they're in the womb for so long together. And then was it?
Yeah.
That's a huge blessing.
Yeah, I hated that. They were in different rooms. A lot of NICUs, I guess, there's multiple babies in one room to where twins could be next to each other, but their rooms were next to each other, but they didn't actually get to be next to each other for the first time. I believe it was 55 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So they were in their 55 days from the time you had them?
Yes.
Wow. Were you like, how was it like seeing them like that? You know, because I mean, my wife is pregnant, so like having like a preemie like is super scary. Like, how does it feel like on your heart, like knowing that they have to be like hooked up to machines for like 2 months?
It's super scary. Yeah, so we were actually almost there for 3 months. We were there for 89 days. The first time the kids saw each other for the first time because they were moved into the same room at 55 days. But we were there for
Oh
almost
wow.
3, and it kills you. Your heart just breaks every single time you see them because you can't help them. You can't do anything for them. I mean, you can do like the hands-on times where you can change their diaper and like feed them some breast milk in their little mouth, swab it in their mouth, or clean off their eyelids, kind of thing. So, but it's not, you can't like really pet, like, you know, how you want to stroke a baby's face to put them to sleep kind of thing. You have to be has to be a firm touch just because the baby's skin is so thin that it could tear the skin and it hurts them. So it was different. It was a different kind of comfort because I was helping to nurture them back to health in a way that only I could, but I couldn't really do much. So I just spent a lot of time up there.
Yeah. So like, what was it weird like leaving the hospital and like leaving your kids there?
Yes. The second I got into the hospital, I just wanted to leave. And the second I was told I was going, well, the second I had them, I didn't want to leave. Oh, that drive home was the worst drive home ever, ever.
Wow. Yeah.
I was just like, Neil, we got to make up an excuse. I got to get myself a room here again. Like, something's wrong with me. He's like, no, we got to go. I'm like, no, we don't. He's like, let's go home. We can come back tonight. I'm like, well, just leave me here. I'm fine. Like, I got pajamas. Like, I'm good. My toothbrush is here. There's a little couch. I'll sleep on that. So, and he he was right. I needed to leave. So we left, and it's a feeling you never want to feel, whether a mom has left their baby in the NICU for 1 day, 2 days, 100 days. Every time you leave the hospital, it's the same feeling over and over and over again. It's the worst feeling in the world.
Is it similar to like guilt mixed with like helplessness?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very, very much full of guilt to where it was depressing, very depressing.
And also, you were probably also going through like postpartum depression while all that was going on. So I can imagine how that felt. How did you handle like the postpartum depression aspect of it?
Oh, I didn't, I was in denial for a very long time about my depression. I was just sad. I was like, I'm just sad. I'm just sad. I'm not depressed. Like, this is just, it's normal because of what I'm going through. The social worker put a postpartum depression test on the couch in one of the boys' rooms, and I was like, okay, well, I'll fill it out. So I answered pretty high, like on feeling wise, like, do you cry all the time? 1 to 10. Well, yes, 10.
10.
I mean, yeah. Do you sleep okay? Yes, no. No, absolutely not. Just silly questions like that. And then there was 2 questions. Do you feel like killing yourself? No. Do you feel like killing others around you? No. Those were the 2 answers. I was like, no, absolutely not. Are you kidding? And another one was, do you feel like killing your child?
Jeez.
No, absolutely not. But those are things that really do happen to mothers in postpartum depression. And it's insane that hormones in your body can do that to you. But did not feel those feelings at all. So I was like, this is silly. Like, whatever, I'll just give it to her because she's asked me about it a few times now. So she called me when she got the results, and I believe that I think the highest you can score without them being concerned, I think, was an 11. I believe on like a number chart, it was an 11. So she called me and she's like, yeah, I'm a little concerned about you. I'm like, okay. And she's like, well, the lowest before we're concerned is an 11. You scored a 21. I'm like, what? I'm like, no way. I'm like, I mean, I'm sad, but I don't know if I'm depressed. I've never really been like fully in a depressed state in my adult life other than like when I was a high school teenager, and you know what I mean? So when I thought that was being depressed, so I went to my OB and took another postpartum depression test, and I failed that one too. I think it was like a 19. So my doctor put me on medication for my postpartum depression. I'm on depression medication, and I was very against it at first because I didn't want it to make me feel emotionless. Like,
Yeah.
not that I wanted to cry, but I didn't want to not cry. If something happened to one of my kids, I didn't want to be like, oh my God, oh, okay, that really sucks, and not show emotion. I didn't want people to think that I didn't care.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't that, I cared. So my doctor talked me into it because she really was concerned about me. And I had talked to Neil, and I found out his sisters were on it, and they had told me too. They're like, it really does make a difference. It is really helpful. And if you miss a day, it's not a kind of, I'm on Zoloft, and it's not a kind of medication that if you miss a day, it's going to mess with you. So, I mean, if you miss a week, like I've done before, it will mess with you, but not about a day. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. So she put me on the lowest dosage possible, 25 milligram, and I felt so much better. I did kind of feel like I wasn't in certain situations before the medication, I would have bawled my eyes out. And then after the medication, I wouldn't really cry. And I kind of hated that. I kind of hated that because I felt like, oh my God, I'm not even crying about this. I'm a terrible mother. Like, how can I not cry about what's happening right now to my kid? So I was talking to my doctor about it, and she's like, that is not how it is. Don't feel that way. Don't feel that way. I'm like, how can I not? Like, I hate myself. I don't want to kill myself, but I hate myself. I hate everything that I am because I'm not able to do anything for my kids. So I started seeing a psychiatrist about anxiety and guilt and just depression, and that really helped. And it's just, it towards the end of the NICU experience, I stopped seeing the therapist because I was like, okay, we're good. We're out of the woods. We are going home. Because in a certain point where you kind of know you are going home, like your kids are okay. So I did feel a lot better. But what a lot of moms don't know is that your postpartum depression can continue. It's not just because your kids are out of the NICU, you're fine. It's a whole new life that you have to live. There's a whole new life now that your two kids who were in the NICU that you saw heart rate drop from 180 to 20 within seconds, they don't have monitors now. You don't know where your kid's heart rate is. You don't know if your kid's breathing. There's so many nights where I would just sit up and watch them breathe to make sure they were breathing.
Wow.
Because I didn't know. I didn't hear the beeping noise. I didn't hear the alarms. And that was scary. And that really put me in a frantic because are my kids alive? Are they okay? So I ended up asking my doctor for a little higher prescription. And it's been, I feel so much better. I mean, they're almost a year old now, which is insane, but it's been crazy. If moms have postpartum depression, they don't get checked, they can have serious problems. They need they need to get help. And a lot of the times moms don't get help is because they're ashamed, like I was. I didn't want help because I was ashamed. And you have to get over it for your child. Get over it because your baby needs a healthy mother. And if you aren't healthy, then you're just going to get worse. You have to be healthy for your child. And postpartum depression is a very important thing that isn't talked about that much. I strongly believe that every woman should look into some kind of postpartum depression help after having a child, no matter what, because hormones are crazy and they mess with you. I'm sure you know because you have a child and you're about to find out again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like you become it's from what I noticed from my first child's mother is like it seems like you're trying to adjust so much to being a new, like when you're a mother, you're like a new role. You're like a new kind of person, all with while your emotions are going crazy, all with a new responsibility, all with like worrying about the survival of the child. So it's a lot of pressure. It's kind of like I feel like it's one of the like hardest things to do, but I feel like we dismiss it as kind of like a culture and society because anybody can be a mom that's a woman and has sex with a man, you know? So I feel like we kind of dismiss it as far as like we don't take it as serious as like we should and stuff like that, especially like a mental and an emotional standpoint. So yeah, it's definitely I know that like antidepressants, there's these things called SRIs, which I think Zoloft is one of them, where kind of like it keeps you in the middle of like how you feel. It doesn't let you get too low, but it also prohibits you from getting too high. So like for instance, your babies can both look super cute and like you'll want to like get that giddy feeling of like, oh, I made these babies, but like your emotions won't let you get that high because the SRIs make you contained in the middle. So that's why I kind of like I pray that Catherine doesn't have to get on any kind of those medications, or me and myself or my kids or anything.
Right.
Just because I know that medically that's like what happens. And it's good because if somebody gets so low, you know, that they think about killing themselves, it prevents them from feeling that super low, but also prevents you feeling high, like that super high happiness feeling, which is very scary in my book.
Exactly. And I feel that a lot. I look at my kids and I definitely go, oh my God, I made you. How did I do this? How did I get so lucky? You're so freaking cute. I go a little crazy sometimes on it because I mean, I'm a little biased, but my kids are freaking cute and I love them.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of them, so it's hard for me to not get so freaking giddy over them. But when with my lows, I don't feel so low anymore. I mean, of course, we're not going through what we went through anymore, but when I do struggle with just my everyday life with work and bills and money and trying to pay this and oh, we're out of formula and let me check my bank account, all these kind of things. Yeah, it sucks and it kicks me a little bit, but I'm not so super depressed over it.
Yeah, that's
but great. When I do cry, it's because I see my kids doing something new and I'm like, oh my God, stop growing. What is happening? And I'm crying because they're almost one kind of thing.
Yeah. You just mentioned formula. So were they able to get breastfed at all? Being preemies and twins and all that?
They were not. And that's a question I get a lot. How was breastfeeding them in the NICU? I didn't get to do that. And a lot of moms do get to do that, but I didn't. And a lot of people don't realize, which is totally normal because I had no idea that this was a thing. When the baby is born so prematurely, they don't know how to suck, swallow, and breathe all at the same time while eating. So they get fed through a feeding tube that is down their throat into their stomach for a while before they can even attempt to even try to take a bottle. And they have to be on certain kind of ventilators or just the oxygens and stuff like that to even try and attempt it. So by the time that they were able to get breastfed, I had already dried up because of my medication did make me kind of dry up. I pumped for 2 months and I pumped like crazy. And I really wanted to breastfeed because I wanted that connection with my child, but not having it doesn't mean that I don't have a connection with my child.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And a lot of moms feel that way. A lot of moms will say breastfeeding is the best for 4 years or whatnot. And they're right. The breast milk is the best nutrition they can possibly get to eat. Absolutely. But fed is best. Fed is best. Fed is best. And a lot of moms, especially NICU moms, need to remember that. Because when I dried up, I did kind of kick myself down. But at the same time, I was okay with not pumping anymore. My nipples were bleeding. I was in pain so much. I would have to dump out milk regularly because there was too much blood in it to give to the NICU. It was so hard. It was so hard. The fact that I was even able to produce milk at such an early gestational age, I was so lucky. And then I produced so much for a good 2 months. I'll take it. I am so thrilled. I'm so thankful that God was able to give that to me. But fed is best. Formula is just as fine with feeding them. It's not.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Some people look down on it, and it's not needed. It's not needed at all. And by the time that they were able to, I dried up. So they asked me if I wanted donor milk or if I wanted to do formula. I'm not against donor milk. I love that women do that. They produce so much that they donate it to hospitals to feed these babies that don't have parents here, that don't have moms, who had moms that were addicted to drugs, that are able to get clean milk. And it's such an amazing gift, but I didn't need it. I was done. The kids were already good on a good level. So why not try formula while they're already in the NICU? So if we have a problem with it, we know what to fix. We know how we can fix it, and we can fix it right then and there. So we did that, and they grew so much. So yeah, we've been on formula since, I think, gestational age, they were about 35 or 36 weeks.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so like now that we kind of figured out everything as far as like the traumatic and like crazy part of the story of like you having the twins and them being preemies and like being that whole NICU experience, I kind of want to like hear about them, you know, like do they have like similar personalities, you know? And that's one of my main questions that I'm really fascinated about.
No.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Oh my God, not at all. It is so funny. I'll start with Riker. That kid is a monster. He is so goofy. He always has his tongue out. He's always just screaming at you. And, well, he'll scream at you out of anger, but more of just playful. He's just a goofy kid. And Killian, oh, he's so sweet. He is the sweetest little thing I have ever come across. I will just look at him and he'll smile. It's so cute. He will smile from ear to ear. Smile so big, his eyes close. Like, it's just so cute. The other day I looked at him and smiled. He smiled at me so hard he fell over. Wow. It's just so sweet. That kid's so sweet. And Riker, of course, is sweet too, but he's goofy. And Killian's just so sweet. I think he's kind of more like his dad, and Riker's more like me, kind of monsterish and goofy, and Neil's just sweet. So Killian's more like Neil.
Where'd you get the names from?
So actually I get that question a lot too. Where did you find those names? Those are really cool names. Are they family names? They aren't. We were at P.F. Chang's eating lunch with my mom, and my mom found them online. And that is it.
That's it? Oh,
She was like, what about Riker? I'm like, oh, yeah, I like that. And then she's like, oh, Killian's a cool one. I'm like, oh, I love that. Because it was, there's a show called Once Upon a Time, and the pirate's name is Killian. And I was like, oh, that's such a cool name. So when she said Riker and Killian, I'm like, whoa. Did we just name the babies? And we're all just like, I think we just did. So then it was kind of like, okay, which one's baby A? Is that one Riker or is that one Killian? So we kind of waited a little while to see how they would act in ultrasounds and stuff, and Riker was always crazy. So we're like, okay, I'm feeling Riker for the crazy baby. But yeah,
Oh,
we found them online. Their middle names are actually Neil's name. Neil is Neil Clear Petrie the fourth. So if we had just one boy, it would have been Neil Clear Petrie the fifth to continue on his family name. So it's actually, we broke it up. So it's Riker Clear and Killian Neal.
oh,
Clear is
that's
in
so cute.
Cleere. Yeah. So we still kept the family name in there, but we just don't have a fifth.
Yeah.
We stopped that.
Do you have a favorite?
No.
You don't, bro?
No, I for real don't. It's a different, I have not, okay, so I love them equally, but there's different feelings towards each just because Killian's just so damn sweet. You're just like, God, my heart melts. And then Riker is just so goofy. He's just so funny. I laugh at that kid all the time. And it's just different. It's a different connection with each of them.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have a favorite. Right now I would say the kids have a favorite, and it's
Ooh,
me.
nice.
But I think mainly that's just because I'm home more, just because Neil works more. But Riker's been so needy and attached to me lately because he can pull up on things now. So now he'll crawl over to me and pull up on my legs. So I'm like, okay, come here, kid. So I feel like I have Riker more, and I feel bad because I bet Killian's probably like, oh, okay, mom, I see you. Riker's your favorite. That's fine. I'll just be sweet over here. So it breaks my heart that I have to, like, it's hard dividing that time.
Yeah.
Feeling like, oh my God, I've spent so much time with Riker today. I feel like I didn't spend any time with Killian. But that's just how it is. Some days I'll have days with Killian and I feel like I didn't spend time with Riker, but
Yeah, how
no.
does that work since they're both like little? Like, how does it work having like two of the same aged babies? Like, I just can't even fathom me having to take care of two of the same little things at the same time.
I don't know how I do it, to be honest. I mean, I don't know anything else.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be different if I had one child before and then
Mhm.
I had twins.
That's what I think too. Yeah.
Because if I have another child, I don't know if it's ever going to happen because this is a lot.
Mhm.
I feel like, oh my God, if I had one baby, I'd be like, oh my God, this is a breeze. But I don't know. It's crazy. You just kind of learn how to, okay, they both need to eat. Okay, Riker, I'm going to feed you now. 30 minutes, Killian will need to eat. I'll feed him. Okay, I tried putting them, well, the NICU helped a lot with putting them on a schedule. They were on a strict schedule in the NICU. But when I got home, I tried sticking to it. So it was easy at first, but once they became more alert and more independent, holy cow, I don't know. I just let them, you gotta let them scream sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you can do. And then they'll be fine after. I mean, they're fine. It's just a little scream.
How do
No
you
big deal.
like? I think they look from the pictures I've seen. I think they look a little bit different, but they also look very identical. So, like, how do you tell them apart? Is this like a mom thing?
It's totally a mom thing. I think they look absolutely nothing alike. I question it all the time if they're even identical, but then there's some pictures I'll look at. I'm like, oh crap, yeah, you're identical. Killian is actually 3 pounds smaller than Riker. So 3 pounds with little babies that small,
Yeah, it's noticeable.
it's such a huge difference, yeah. And Riker, so he's chunkier in the face than Killian is. So it's just easy, and their personalities too. I mean, you can just tell looking at them like, oh, that's Riker, and oh, that sweet little kid is Killian. Like, it's, I think personality wise it helps, but in pictures,
Yeah, it's hard.
I
Harder.
can tell, yeah, but for other people, I'm just like, look at the rounder face. He's a little bigger. I try and tell them that, but it's still, people think they look identical as all get out, and I don't. So I don't know. I don't see what other people see, really.
Yeah, that's true. Do you like one thing I never really kind of honestly I never liked this about like how twins are. Why do they always have why does the mom and dad always make them wear the same outfits? I think that is so annoying. And I know
It
you've
is
done it before,
annoying.
but it's so annoying.
Yeah, no, I do it all the time. It is annoying, and I've always thought the same thing. I'm like, oh my God,
But now you think
they're
it's cute.
identical twins, and now we're supposed to just try and guess which one's which. Okay, whatever. That's one and two. Thing one, thing two. No, it's okay. So I thought it was so stupid and silly too. And I even said before I even had them, I'm like, I'm not gonna dress them alike. We're gonna do similar outfits, different colors, like kind of thing. Same pants, different colors. Same shirt, different colors. No big deal. Okay, but then when you see these two little babies that you created in the same outfit together, it's just so flippin' cute. And it's inevitable. People will buy you the same exact outfit.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
why not just put them in the same freaking thing? And it's easy though too at the same time because I have everything folded that are the same like together in the drawer, so I'll just grab them and all right, I got two clothes, we'll
Yeah,
throw them on
it's
you.
easy. It's definitely easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it is easy, but then there's some outfits I'm just like, oh my God, I need two of these, the exact same outfit because one is not enough. These are so cute.
Yeah, like
So
I'm
I am guilty of that.
and I'm looking at the picture where they're both in like the little orange creamsicle with the little blue pocket right
Oh
here.
my God.
Super
Yeah.
cute. But I noticed that Riker's the chunky one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed like he's super chunky. Is it the same? Is it the same size outfit?
It's the same size outfit.
Just a little snug on him.
Just a little snug. Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
I think
cute.
that was like a 3-month outfit. But now it's crazy. Like now they were in outfits the other day. Riker was in an 18-month and Killian was in a 12-month. Same exact outfit because somebody gave me these two different outfits. They're like, I know I don't have a matching one. I'm like, no, actually I do. So that works perfectly. But yeah, different size. It's crazy. They're so much bigger now, and even they're a lot taller too.
Yeah.
Riker can just fit in different clothes than Killian can now too. And I think I've realized it. I think I'm getting out of the denial stage that my kids are growing, so I can put them in clothes that fit them a little better. So, but yeah, he's a little chunkster.
That's great. Do they have the same sleeping schedule?
Um, for the most part, yes.
Oh, that's
For the
good.
most part, yes. They are stubborn, so we're not that great at a sleep schedule, but it's there. It's there.
Yeah. When they were like infants, was it even harder? Like with the sleeping schedule?
When they were infants, they slept all the time, I felt like. So when they were out of the NICU, they're almost 3 months old, but they have an actual age and an adjusted age
Yeah.
from their gestational age. So they were actually 3 months old, but their other age was newborn. So even though they're 3 months, they were newborns. They were sleeping all the time, and that was pretty easy. I mean, I was tired because I never slept, but it was easy on them, I feel like, because they slept a lot. But now they hate naps. They will not nap.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Oh, God, is it? They are always tired at the same time, but they want to both, like, if one's asleep, okay, fine, I'll go to sleep. But no, if the other one's awake, nope, I want to stay up. I want to hang out. I want to play. And that was my problem tonight. Normally they go to bed around 7:30. They went to bed at 8:30. They went to bed at 8:30 today. I put both of them down 3 different times. One was crying and screaming. The other one was trying to fall asleep, but listening to the other one screaming. It was a true test of patience for me tonight.
Yeah. We've all been there that are parents.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite thing about being a mom?
Oh, just God, everything. Everything. The fact that I made something with the man I love. I made these two beautiful human beings that will call me mom. I get to love them forever and they will love me forever. And it's just such an amazing feeling to be able to have that in my life, whether it's making the actual baby yourself or adopting, just that feeling of having just a child love you the way that your child does is just amazing. It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, say I know you know that
Yeah,
feeling.
it's great. So
Yeah.
I'm happy you feel the same way. I mean, I knew
Yeah.
you would, but I'm glad that that's your favorite thing about being a mom.
Oh God,
I'm
it's
glad it's not
amazing.
like just dressing them up cute.
Oh my God,
That'd be awkward.
no. That's like my second favorite thing,
Yeah,
Zach.
second. All right, sorry. All right, I got one more good question for you, and then we'll wrap it up.
Alrighty.
What's something that you learned throughout your whole journey and like that season of your life that you kind of are grateful for?
Wow. Good one. I would say, of course, being very grateful to be able to come out of the NICU experience
On the winning
with
side, yeah.
right, with not only one but both of my children.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of moms aren't
Yeah.
lucky like that, and I was very lucky and blessed to be able to do that, and I'm forever grateful. But during that experience, my husband and I got extremely close, like the closest we had ever been. And that was something that was brought up to us going into the NICU. We were told that it is and can be a huge strain on a marriage. So just be mindful of each other, be there for each other. And we were. And we had never been so close in our entire relationship. And I'm forever grateful for that too. Our relationship's never, and it's still the same. It's still the same. Just everything we went through, we're still so strong and just forever in love, of course. But um, just going through that and watching each other grow along with the kids, just physically and mentally, it's just, that was a huge thing that changed in our life, was just being able to grow in this world as adults and humans and parents was a huge takeaway from this experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is it nice seeing him as like a dad and just kind of like seeing him in that role that you've never seen before?
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. I love it. Those kids love their dad. Oh my gosh.
Mm.
He will step in a room and they freak out over him. It's the cutest thing. And it's just such an amazing feeling to be able to witness it. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited for you guys, and I'm so happy for you guys. And I know you've always wanted to be a mom. And then when I came down in Tampa and I saw you at when I was at Outback, you were like glowing with happiness. You looked like way different than you normally did. You always had this like this little sassy attitude, but this time you were just like, even though you probably still have that, you were just like so great. Like you just seemed like happy to be like walking through life, and it was just so good to see. And then I always check in with Tina, and Tina tells me that you're doing really good and stuff. So it's just yeah, same. It's just so good to like, see the journey and see the progress and see your kids just growing into like such cute little toddlers soon. And it was cool to hear the story
Such a
behind
powerful
everything.
word.
Yeah, it is a
Thank
powerful
you.
word. Yeah.
Yeah, toddler.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're
Yeah,
welcome.
when I wish I saw more of you that night. I had no idea you and Jimmy were even sitting there. But yeah, and that's thank you. That's such a huge compliment because I mean, you saw me go through a ton from what I went through as being a manager and just my feelings themselves because I always talked to you and opened up with you and it was a very rough time in my life. So just being a mom has just made me
Whole.
so happy. Whole, exactly.
Yeah.
Whole. And it's such a great feeling.
Oh, that's so great. I'm so happy for you. Thank you so much for doing this. It's going to be
Thank
great.
you.
I'm going to go ahead and upload it to YouTube. It takes a little bit longer because I have to like, it's like an hour file. So it takes a little while. So it should be up in a day or two. And I'll definitely
Yeah,
keep you posted
no
on it.
worries.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you,
All right.
Zach. I miss you.
I miss you. I hope to see you soon. All right.
Please. Bye.
All right. Bye. Have a good night.
See you.
All right. Bye-bye.